We have superhumans among us, but we're never aware because we call them weird geniuses or psychics. Our minds work in several ways, and some people have been able to harness the power of their minds and infuse them into their daily activities and their subconsciousness. One of these people is Nikola Tesla, and it was recently discovered from his journal that he does something weird before going to bed. What does he do, and why is it regarded as something weird? Join us as we explore why Nikola Tesla did something weird before bed. Born in 1856, the Serbian-American engineer and physicist Nikola Tesla made several breakthroughs in the production, application, and transmission of electric power. He created the first alternating current motor and even developed AC generation and transmission technology. This highly famous and respected inventor was known for multiple inventions, but one thing people never knew about Nikola Tesla was that he has a plethora of extraordinary mental characteristics. Tesla possessed an acute sense of hearing together with visualization abilities so clear he was able to mimic reality and strange eccentricities of behavior and habit. This extraordinary type of visualization was a vice he used as it helped him to conduct realistic dream experiments while he was wide awake and attentive in the lab. He even confirmed this in his autobiography, My Inventions, where he talked about intentional and conscious dreams several times. In one of his statements, he noted that every night once he was alone, he would embark on a journey that would take him to cities he has never been to before. He recalled he would arrive at new places, he would see new cities and countries. On some of his journeys to several places, he would meet people, interact with them, and build friendships while he lives in that same community too. Unbelievable, right? It all sounds like he had a dream where he remembers all that happened, but all of these were facts, and each place he traveled to or every person he met was just as dear to Nikola Tesla as those in actual life. However, Nikola Tesla was not the only one involved in this extraordinary phenomenon, as other notable scientists were a part of this phenomenon. Even one of the best mathematicians in the world, Srinivasa Ramanujan, was a part of this as well, but Nikola Tesla mostly took advantage of this extraordinary ability. And it turned out to be the tip of the iceberg, as the Serbian-American engineer didn't know he was capable of more extraordinary abilities until he was 17. This age was when Nikola Tesla ventured fully into invention, binding his body and soul to it. Surprisingly, he discovered that diverting his area of focus gave him the ability to visualize with the best facilities. According to a statement in his autobiography, he stated this level of visualization was out of this world to the point that he didn't have to make drawings, models, or any type of experiments because he could effectively picture it all in his mind. The Serbian-American engineer was able to perform this extraordinary move with just one vice: lucid dreaming. Imagine you're walking vertically up the walls of a cityscape flipped on top of itself when you come across some bad guys you have to fight while floating suspended in a hotel lobby. Or you're traveling through another person's dream to place a life-changing idea that they would never know was theirs. These bizarre trips are all taking place as you go from one place to another, but your physical body is fast asleep in the luxurious first-class cabin of a cross-country flight. This occurrence can be seen in Christopher Nolan's 2010 science fiction thriller Inception. This movie gives an insight explaining that humans can be aware of our dreams while it's taking place, and it is also possible to control some aspects of our dreams. Yeah, that's lucid dreaming. People only got to know better about lucid dreaming shortly after Inception was released, but lucid dreaming isn't just happening, it has been a thing even before the times of Nikola Tesla. Lucid dreaming was mentioned as far back as the Hindu manuscripts dating more than 2,000 years ago. Even Tibetan Bon Buddhists have been practicing what is referred to as dream yoga for thousands of years. In fact, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle also knew about lucid dreams, and he described it in his work On Dreams, which was possibly written around 330 BC. However, it wasn't until 1913 that Frederick von Eyden derived the term lucid dream in an article named A Study of Dreams. And in 1968, Celia Green started to study lucid dreaming with a scientific approach, declaring it a unique sleep state that includes rapid eye movement during sleep. Eventually, Dr. Stephen LaBerge was the one who brought research about lucid dreams into the mainstream during the 1970s and 1980s. This was thanks in part to the assistance of electrooculogram technology, which catches eye movements and allows dreamers to show signs of lucidity to the outside world. Ever since, research has been made on the methods for inducing lucid dreaming to discover what happens in the brain during lucid dreams, and to also find their potential for diminishing nightmares and other therapeutic uses. One similar research about lucid dreaming was made by Denholm Aspai, PhD, a visiting research fellow at the University of Adelaide in Australia. He conducted two of the biggest studies to date about learning how to lucid dream. Aspai discovered that a combination of induction techniques designed to cause lucid dreams worked for his test participant regardless of whether they had a lucid dream earlier. All thanks to these recent studies and modern science, more information is being gathered about lucid dreams than ever before, including how they work in the human body and how to have them. But what exactly is lucid dreaming? In the simplest way, a lucid dream is one in which you know you're in a dream state while it's happening. It's a different ballgame compared to the traditional state where you have no idea you've been dreaming until you're awake. This is why lucid dreams are marked by the clarity of lucidity in the dream. It is also essential to note that the ability to take charge of your dreams is something of a secondary element that happens after lucidity. The awareness that you're dreaming is a definite but necessary predecessor to controlling your dreams, which then exists on a spectrum. Some lucid dreamers can only make small changes and add-ons to their dreams, while others can do other things like make walls disappear and move to new locations. Deirdre Lee Barrett, PhD, an American author and psychologist known for her research on dreams, hypnosis, and imagery, made a comment on the case of lucid dreams. She noted that there is a large continuance from no influence to total influence because when one has the ability to control his or her dreams, the margin declares itself. The American author who wrote The Committee of Sleep explained further that the experience is something related to virtual reality for your sleeping mind. It's agreeable that this phenomenon is not heard of every time, but lucid dreaming is not as rare as a lot of people might think. According to recent research and data obtained, almost 50% of people said that they have had an occurrence pertaining to lucid dreams once or more since they have been existing, and about 23% noted that they have experienced one or more lucid dreams every month. The research also showed that most lucid dreams are known to last for about 14 minutes, but their content differs as much as the people who experience them. Just like in traditional dreams, the possibilities are unpredictable. Lucid dreams can be about anything from getting to the top of Mount Everest to having a nice time and catching up with the long-deceased historical figures. Regardless, there are, however, a few common themes known. Several lucid dreams have been studied to discover that they include having conversations with characters in the dream and flying. But how do they occur? Lucid dreams take place due to the activity in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. It is the area responsible for reflection and self-awareness. Imagine it is a blurred line of boundary between your conscious waking self and your unconscious sleeping self. Remington Mallett, PhD, a postdoctoral researcher in the Cognitive Neuroscience Laboratory at Northwestern University, made a statement about how lucid dreams occur. He said in a statement, "When you're asleep but not lucid dreaming, the prefrontal cortex, your conscious human thought machine, is basically offline. But when you're lucid dreaming, you have some prefrontal cortex ability that's a bit more ramped up. It's not at the same level as when you're awake, but it's doing something. It's an active but not fully active state," he concluded. Lucid dreaming technically happens during the rapid eye movement stage of sleep, which happens some hours after we fall asleep. This is when most dreaming occurs, so it's very possible for lucid dreaming to happen then too. But recently, researchers have started trying to analyze whether lucid dreaming is a peculiar state and not completely like regular rapid eye movement or REM sleep. During lucid dreams, the brain is closer to waking in terms of activity, but not as active as it is when we're fully awake, says Barrett. The brain does show signs of more activation than it does during typical REM sleep, so it's likely a slightly different REM state. But if we have to call it REM or non-REM, it's definitely REM. If this interests you and you would someday like to try lucid dreaming yourself, then you're in luck. A couple of reliable techniques can help you either begin or increase the frequency of lucid dreams if you've already been having them unplanned. One of these techniques is reality checks, where you ask yourself if you're dreaming at intervals during the day. Another method is the mnemonic induction of lucid dreams technique, also known as the mild technique. It basically has to do with creating an intention for what you'll dream about that night. Some studies have discovered that waking up and going back to bed, known as the wake back to bed or WBTB method, can help to start lucid dreams as well, whether that's in the middle of the night or in the morning after a nap. A dream journal can also be kept, as it would help get dreamers to the point of lucidity by familiarizing them with the attributes of their dreams so that they can recognize them as they take place. Keeping a dream journal can also assist dreamers in getting to the point of lucidity by familiarizing them with the attributes of their dreams so that they easily recognize them as they're happening. There are also drugs and supplements like galantamine, which is used to treat dementia. These drugs have been shown to induce lucid dreams, but Mallet warns against using them. He said in a statement, "I wouldn't endorse that. We don't even consider using it in the lab." He says, "We don't know the side effects exactly yet, and we have other methods that work better." Despite the challenges that come with the analysis of lucid dreaming in the lab, lots of promising pilot studies speak to the possible benefits lucid dreaming could bring. One of the advantages lucid dreams come with is their potential to combat and change nightmares, particularly for those who suffer from terrible nightmares. With the use of lucid dream incubation techniques, dreamers can alter a nightmare by being intentional about what they want to dream about when going to bed. If you're having nightmares about a witch, let's say, before you fall asleep, you can tell yourself that when you dream about the witch, "I want her to turn around and go away," says Barrett. Or you can tell yourself that you want her to turn into a good witch, or that you want her to tell you why she's there in the dream. Aspy, the Australian scientist who ran one of the largest lucid dream tests, is also in support. During nightmares, your brain is more aroused, and due to the fact that you're scared, you're more likely to notice that you're dreaming, he stated. Several people who have nightmares will control and change their dreams with lucid dreaming, which is why it can be used to treat nightmares. There are also early postulations that training for lucid dreams could cause implications for managing insomnia without medicine. In the same vein, lucid dreaming could also hold benefits for victims of post-traumatic stress disorder. This is because about 80% of people have nightmares because of this. While lucid dreaming hasn't yet been proven to alleviate PTSD itself, it has been associated with a decrease in anxiety and depression symptoms in PTSD patients. This suggests that lucid dreaming could provide either an alternative or a complementary treatment for people with PTSD, especially those who experience anxiety and depression symptoms as a result. But while it has some benefits, some disadvantages are registered with it too. One of the most essential things to understand about lucid dreaming is that it's not an easy feat. The most basic misunderstanding is that it's easy to do when it's actually hard to achieve for someone who isn't already spontaneously having lucid dreams, says Barrett. It's hard to become lucid in the first place, then it's even harder to have an additional, specific control within a lucid dream. If you come across a website or a workshop that claims to be able to achieve lucid dreaming fast enough and easily, it's advisable to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism before making a decision. There are multiple people leading workshops or writing books claiming that lucid dreaming is easier than what is often said about it, and that people should be disappointed if it doesn't occur easily or soon, she adds. Instead, she says, with time and carefully dedicated practice, most people can assimilate everything they need to know about how to lucid dream. This ranges from YouTube videos to how-to articles and legitimate workshops. Either it's for a cheap little workshop or some kind of expensive retreat. If people have the money and are interested, it's not a bad vacation to go off with a lucid dreaming expert and some people who are fascinated by it and spend a few days dedicating time to nothing but that, Barrett says. Just don't conclude that you're going to be a lucid dreaming whiz right away and avoid anyone claiming that they can offer that. Besides scams, one more thing to consider is the potential sleep impact of induction techniques like the wake back to bed method. Nirit Sofer-Dudek, PhD, a senior lecturer at the Ben Gurion University of the Negev in Israel, warns would-be lucid dreamers to first think it through and decide whether the practice might be harmful to them based on their peculiar health conditions and family history. While observing the impacts of lucid dreaming on people experiencing trauma, Sofer-Dudek discovered that lucid dreamers tend to be more resilient people. Still, she's not sold on lucid dreaming as perfect for all. I'm not against lucid dreaming, I'm just cautious about the initiation of it and the different techniques that require you to disturb your sleep, Sofer-Dudek says. The techniques for lucid dreaming might have an effect on the reality-fantasy boundary. This applies especially to those who experience dissociation and schizophrenia, which already test the boundaries of fantasy and reality. In fact, the 2019 study called for more studies to be done in order to answer questions like these with certainty. In addition to potential side effects that can come from any new drug or method that plays with your physiology, I think that if you have a tendency for specific types of psychopathology, dissociation, schizophrenia, or epilepsy, I probably wouldn't try it, says Sofer-Dudek. We know that for people who have epilepsy, if they don't sleep for a night or do something that impairs their sleeping hygiene, they might have epileptic seizures. According to Mallet, the jury is also out about the connection between lucid dreaming and the possibility of sleepwalking or doing something which could be harmful. It's kind of weird to say that there are no risks at all because it's the same with everything. Everything has some kind of side effect, he says. The one that really stands out as valid right now is the concern about sleep quality and that it's potentially disruptive. I don't think it's a major concern though, and it's important to distinguish that it has to do with the induction practices rather than lucid dreaming itself. Despite the leaps and bounds of progress in lucid dreaming in recent years, nature makes it difficult to research. Unlike reality, in Inception, there's a metal briefcase with a juice that they just shove into everyone's arms, says Mallet. Research and scientists want an easy induction technique like that, and that's what labs are trying to do. But right now, there's no solid, guaranteed method for inducing lucid dreams. Also, when Mallet conducts his research, they mostly get 4 or 5 participants to be successfully lucid in the lab. You can't trust those results because we need larger samples of people, he adds. We would ideally have 20 or 30 people in a study, but we need to get them all lucid and have them stay lucid. So we're trying to figure out different ways to make that happen. It mostly has to do with using an external cue system. One example, having dreamers move their eyes in a certain way once they reach lucidity, like a sort of Morse code. Until the induction bottleneck is sorted, lucid dream research has a serious challenge to face. But regardless of these problems, research has shown standard information on how lucid dreaming works in the human brain and promising suggestions for how it might be used in the future. Do you think lucid dreaming would eventually be a source of solution in the near future, or is it going to remain a phenomenon that was never understood? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.